This is a battle in the Team Dignitas Invitational between Agony Prussian Prince, better known as the Prussian Prince, he's in the Agony clan, and Llewelin of the Agartha clan. Llewelin went with a safe pick on Nemetocenna, the Boii, while the Prussian Prince he went completely opposite to what you saw in the rest of the tournament. He went for a build that has no infantry. When heavy infantry spams rules supreme and you are up against the strongest infantry faction in the game, why not just say, fuck it, I'm not going to fight the infantry. I'm going to cycle charge it into oblivion with my 8 shock cavalry units. So he has 6 Persian cavalry, 2 Eastern cataphracts, and a royal cataphract. So he has 6 Persian cavalry and 2 cataphract units. Then he has a total of 6 Eastern slingers and 3 Eastern archers. So 9 foot skirmishers. He also has these horse archers. I had to, when I saw that he picked Armenia, the map was Nemetocenna. I was hoping, we were watching this on the stream, on the Dignitas stream, I was hoping he would do this because I've seen him do this against me before with Parthia. He just goes no infantry, 9 foot skirmishers, and the rest cavalry. And I did it to him. He was playing as Rome, and I was picked Armenia, and Armenia can't compete with Roman infantry. So I wasn't even going to try to do it. I brought more cataphracts than he did. I think I had something like 4 or 5 cataphracts, and the rest Persian cavalry. Also had 3 horse archers and 9 foot skirmishers. And the funny thing was that the battle between me and the Prussian Prince was very similar to the battle here between Llewelin and the Prussian Prince. Now, the Prussian Prince had less cavalry in our battle. I believe he only had 4 different types of equite units. The heavy horse is much stronger than the equites of Rome, of course. And he also had Balearic slingers. So there are only Celtic skirmishers on the field here. That's going to be good for the Prussian Prince, because I had to take out the Balearic slingers with my own slingers, and they took a lot of casualties in the process. But in this battle, the Prussian Prince enjoys a supreme skirmishing advantage. Llewelin has to find a way to engage these archers that are being supported by so much cavalry. And the key is, of course, to use his own heavy horse together with the infantry units. But this type of build essentially makes his strongest units in the sword followers pretty much useless. He's going to move up here, take a lot of fire frontally on the sword followers. And this build from the Prussian Prince is super risky, because if he loses his skirmishers, he's dead. He's going to post his horse archers in the rear of the enemy. Good choice. Now he can go and try to snipe the Oathsworn with some heavy shots, because Llewelin's cavalry is all in the front here. He's going to try to chase away the skirmishers of the Prussian Prince, but the Persian cavalry is going to charge in, get a nice charge against these heavy horse. And then Llewelin is going to start pouring in the fire. And this is one of the things that you do with this strategy. You isolate enemy cavalry units, you try to destroy them as much as possible, and since you have the superior armor on your cataphracts, you will pour in the fire and hope that the enemy cavalry dies before yours does. That was at least my plan when I used it against the Prussian Prince. So it looks like you're just wasting cavalry, but the Prussian Prince has actually been able to take out a unit of heavy horse here. This unit of Celtic warriors was charged by Persian cavalry, heavy horse and infantry chasing after the skirmishers of the Prussian Prince. This unit of heavy horse took so much damage, it's going to go down to skirmishers now. The Prussian Prince is still not sniping the general, and I wonder why. He's sending in his Eastern cataphracts here against the heavy horse, firing at this blob of heavy horse and Persian cavalry. He only has to take out the cavalry of the Boii, losing a lot of Persian cavalry to skirmishing fire and to precursor javelins. But if he can just destroy the heavy horse of Llewelin, then this battle is his. Then Llewelin has absolutely no response to all the skirmishers of of Armenia. Recognizing this, Llewelin is going to pull out his heavy horse. But still, the Prussian Prince is playing it perfectly here in blobbing up the cavalry, sacrificing his Persian cavalry units in order to... A bit of miss-micro there with his general. He is exhausted, so he should get a second wind going soon. But this is just so important, managing to tie down the cavalry units of the Boii and fire at the heavy horse to destroy the heavy horse before the heavy horse can get to the skirmishers. So already a lot of heavy horse down on the field for Llewelin. His heavy horse units are being destroyed very nicely by the Prussian Prince. And again, I think it's a massive mistake not going and putting pressure on the Oathstone unit at this point in the battle. Possibly too much to micro for the Prussian Prince now. But he is doing well. The heavy horse units are going down. This unit of Eastern archers is probably a gunner. It's going to get charged, but the Prussian Prince is going to turn around with the Persian cavalry, get a nice charge on the heavy horse. And the heavy horse is going to take a lot of casualties from this. Still not sniping the general. I do not understand what that's about. It might just be that there's too much to micro. And these units of sword followers that are running after the skirmishers are getting shot to pieces. Unit of Eastern archers routing. We have trample incoming from the strategist Cataphract general. That's going to do a lot of damage to the heavy horse. It's even going to do some damage to the sword followers here. And Llewelin has this one unit of heavy horse that is at half strength. He has one molested unit of heavy horse here. Another molested unit of heavy horse here. Again, Prussian Prince miss-microing a bit because these horse archers are going to take fire. Nicely done by Llewelin. And the Prussian Prince has very little cavalry left on the field, but he has his skirmishers, and that is the most important thing. He needs to start sniping the Oathstone general. If he does that, then the Boii army might chain rout when they are taking fire without being able to do anything about it. More fire incoming against the heavy horse, using the Persian cavalry very nicely here to just get in and do some more damage to the heavy horse. The heavy horse has to disengage to get away from the skirmishers. And now the Boii army is completely surrounded by skirmishers on all sides. It's going to be a long and slow kiting game, but as long as these heavy horse units aren't able to engage the skirmishers of the Prussian Prince, he is absolutely golden in this battle. Bringing no infantry can absolutely work. Especially, it's sort of a one-trick pony, because the instinctive reaction of your opponent when you are charging in your cavalry against infantry units is to sort of try to countercharge with your own cavalry. And although Llewelin had a lot of cavalry in this battle, he basically wasted it trying to destroy the cavalry of the Prussian Prince. The cavalry is important, but the most important thing is keeping all of these 9-foot skirmishers alive, because if they are left alive, they can do massive damage to all of these heavy infantry units, and the heavy infantry units are basically never going to be able to catch these Eastern slingers. Although they are winded, they are going to be able to keep this up for a long time. So the general of the Prussian Prince still alive. Heavy horse here, just becoming more and more depleted. And again, not sniping the Oathstone general at this point made the game longer than it would have needed to be. Persian cavalry coming in and destroying the Celtic skirmishers. Very nicely done. Charges coming in against the sword followers. So many units of Llewelin routing now. The Celtic skirmishers are going down, they stabilized over here. But the nice thing is that he can still use his horse archers to charge the enemy skirmishers, to even charge Levy Freeman in the rear. Levy Freeman going down quickly to fire. And there's still some Persian cavalry left on the field for the Prussian Prince. And the nice thing about having these horse archers is that they're going to be able to rear charge units at will, and then just incur penalties to their morale that's going to be able to break them very quickly when they are depleted. Celtic warriors, just so depleted, won't be able to do much. A unit of Levy Freemen chasing after skirmishers, but the Prussian Prince is microing very well here in just moving in different directions, splitting up his forces. And the one thing that Llewelin has left on the field that can save him is heavy horse. But there's so little heavy horse left. A few volleys more and these heavy horse are going to go down. And now you'll see the balance of power shift in favor of the Prussian Prince for the first time in the battle, as these units get split up and broken. Now, this unit of Celtic warriors is one charge away from being off the field, or alternatively a few volleys from being off the field. And the heavy infantry of Boii is never going to be able to catch these skirmishers. The best that the Boii can hope for is to be able to corner some skirmishers, but there's always some skirmishers that are going to be able to get away. So Llewelin is making a massive line here, trying to close off the map, move forward, try to trap some units, possibly strike out with his heavy horse. But the first time you're facing this build, if you make the mistakes that the Prussian Prince did in the battle that I played against him, if you do make the mistake that Llewelin did here in wasting the cavalry, then this build is going to be an absolute nightmare to face. It is deceptively powerful, but not many people will fall for the same trick twice, so you kind of have one shot at this. And hope your opponent didn't watch this video, because chasing after this number of skirmishers and that number of cavalry it's basically going to be suicide, and you don't have much of an option really. There are 12 skirmishers on the field here, and ideally the Prussian Prince should have had some more cavalry left on the field so we could just charge down these units. That is sort of the point of the build, to have at least 2 or 3 strong cavalry units left for the late game. And that is why I like the cataphracts over the Persian cavalry, because they are much more tanky. They can take a lot more fire, and they can stay alive longer in the late game. The strategist general is also a very nice choice, so he'll be able to keep the royal cataphracts fresh for the most of the battle anyway. Charge coming in against Levy Freeman, getting charged in the rear. Using horse archers like this is massively useful for just picking off enemy units, knocking down Levy Freeman and making them rout off the field. There we are, another broken unit of Levy Freeman. I don't like that the general of Llewelin is basically unmolested at this point. He should be sniped much earlier in the battle. But still, very nicely done here by the Prussian Prince. He has managed to keep most of his skirmishers alive, and although he doesn't have very many cavalry units left, he still has enough to be able to destroy these sword followers and the Oathsworn. And that's why you bring slingers instead of archers, because slingers are going to be able to use ammunition for a longer period of time, because they have 25 ammunition in comparison to the 15 ammunition of archers. So going for more slingers is the wiser choice with a build like this. Standing and firing against the heavy horse, that's actually going to break one unit of heavy horse. But the heavy horse just destroy the eastern archers so easily. Still only these 2 units of heavy horse left on the field, and they are so depleted that it's only going to take a volley, maybe 2, to destroy the entire unit. The Prussian Prince has a lot of room to maneuver on here. Firing into the sword followers, they are exhausted, so they're going to be very slow. They get a minus 20% reduction to their speed when they are exhausted, and there's not much that Llewelin can do about this. The Eastern Slingers are going to be able to stop fire, and do this kiting game for a long time. This unit of sword followers looks like it's ready to get charged soon in the rear. But there we go. I think we'll see a rear charge incoming now. Yep. Rear charge to break the unit of sword followers. And that's it. Even horse archers can break sword followers that have taken this amount of damage. The horse archers are starting to waver due to some friendly fire there. Now it's winning decisively, so it would have been a good idea to cycle charge with the horse archers here. But the sword followers broke. The Oathstone general is going to try to throw javelins, and he managed to kill a lot of horse archers, but in the process he's going to turn his back, and now you'll see the Oathstone general start to drop quickly to the fire from the Eastern Slingers. Just rapid fire into the backs of these Oathstone, and they are dropping quickly. So in trying to get at the horse archers, they are going to lose many men. One unit of levy freemen heroically chasing away the skirmishers of the Prussian Prince, but they are taking so much fire. They are one cavalry charge away from dying. Looks like the horse archers are going to come back from routing over there. Levy freemen being kited to death. And that's the nice thing about having 9 skirmishers. You can always kite with some of them and fire with some of them. Horse archers coming around on the flank. This is a perfect time to rear charge them when they are shaken, before the support is incoming. A nice rear charge here would be... It's going to turn them around, but turning them around is going to open up their backside to being fired upon by these Eastern archers over here, and they're going to turn and fire. The levy freemen are going to drop quickly. Nothing that the Boii infantry spam can do about this. Nothing at all. So a lot of people ask, well, what are you going to do against sword rushes? Deciding just not to fight the infantry might be a valid option. Armenia can do this, Parthia can do this, but there aren't many other factions that can, because they lack the cost-effective shock cavalry that Armenia and Parthia has. And also the magic lies in the cheap Eastern Slingers and the 150 range archers, of course. So here we have heavy horse charging into the horse archers, trying to get into the Eastern Slingers. It looks like they're going to make it as well. Some of the Prussian Prince's units are getting caught here, but he is going to be able to pull out. The heavy horse is winning, but cataphracts are coming around the flank to support. This heavy horse unit is one cataphract charge away from being off the field. Sword followers incoming against the cataphracts. The cataphracts are going to be able to continue to move. The heavy horse is pulling away, wisely done by Llewelin. A few more shots on these heavy horse and they are going to be routing off the field. Bringing this type of build can be extremely fun for you and super frustrating for your opponent. The opponent might feel like he's winning for some time, but then this starts happening and he doesn't have a response to what's going on now. The heavy horse is exhausted, it's been taking fire, it's taken a lot of casualties, so it won't be long before the heavy horse just routes off the field. And when the balance of power bar shifts enough in favor of the Prussian Prince, the rest of the Boii army is just going to rout off the field. Persian cavalry charging into the Oathstone to stop them for a while, to allow these units to fire more into them. And being fired upon from all directions here is going to be devastating for the Oathstone. He needs to be careful because there are sword followers incoming. Heroic charge from the horse archers, being able to knock down and stop the Oathstone for a little while. The Royal Cataphract still alive, but they need to be careful here. Sword followers incoming. It looks like they're out of javelins. So the Royal Cataphracts are going to redirect and charge the sword followers in the rear. That should destroy the sword followers. Yep, another unit of sword followers going down, just picking apart the Boii army. These levy freemen are chasing the Eastern archers heroically. Frontal charge with trample and battle rhythm into the Oathstone. It's going to do a lot of damage to the Oathstone. They're getting knocked down, and the cataphracts will be able to just continue through here after doing the damage. Able to charge into the rear of the levy freemen, destroying them. The Oathstone are wavering. The general died in that charge, so that was important. And when the general died, the balance of power is just massively in favor of the Prussian Prince here. And he was able to defeat the heavy infantry of the Boii by bringing no infantry of his own Very nicely done. I am so happy that he brought this build, because it was a super interesting game to watch. It was intense, and most of the people watching the stream didn't think that the Prussian Prince could do this. They thought he wasted his cavalry, and sure, he did. He made a few mistakes, but come on, he defeated Llewelin in the first battle when he had Armenia and Llewelin had the Boii. So perfectly done by the Prussian Prince. He was able to play to his strengths and negate the strengths of both Llewelin and the Boii army that he faced. Very good battle. I'm just so happy that the Prussian Prince did this in a tournament. It can be super risky, but so much fun to watch, and hopefully it gave people some ideas for how to counter infantry spams and to sort of revitalize skirmishing and kiting, because it can be a lot of fun and it can be super effective, especially on Nemetocenna. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again on the battlefield.